Hi, Randy. How are you?
Good. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
So, I saw the film, really enjoyed it, very dark, very creepy. Tell me, how did you
Yeah,
get involved with the
excellent.
project?
Just the old-fashioned way. I mean, script was sent to me by my agent. I was super familiar with the director's work and had always been interested in working with him. And, the part is not huge, but I thought that there was something really interesting there to explore with her.
Okay.
And I thought that it was a particularly, unique twist on a thriller.
Mm.
The subtext of my character's mother having been a Holocaust survivor and, sort of the ghosts of that woman haunting my son, I thought were just something different that I hadn't seen before. And so, I said yes.
Great. What was it like working with the rest of the terrific cast?
Well, it was really interesting to work with Luke because it was his first time. And, instantly when I met him, I could see why he was cast, that he has this incredible face, right? It's like a wide open sort of moon face with this strikingly pale skin and strikingly blue eyes, this dark hair. But he also has this somewhat otherworldly quality. I was very impressed with his maturity, the willingness to want to act and to be willing to delve into the territory of a young man who's experimenting with cross-dressing. I thought was incredibly brave. And he just gave himself over to it. And, that's the beauty, I guess, of being young is there's a certain accessibility to your imagination. You don't ask as many questions or resist as much, but I found him to be, completely beguiling.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Did you do any preparation for the role?
Not overtly. I would say, I had several conversations with Boaz about what his inspiration was for the character. We talked a little bit about his family history, although the character is not from his family. There were certain things in his family history that informed things he was interested in exploring. And we talked a bit about the nature of children of Holocaust survivors and what that looks like. And my grandmother was not Jewish, but she was in Nazi-occupied Austria during World War II. And that's a whole other long story, but she definitely saw horrible and experienced horrible things, and I think that informed the rest of her life. And so I did a bit of research, I suppose, into what it is to be raised by a survivor of the Holocaust. And for some people whose parents really went through atrocities, that leaves a mark. That does inform their parenting. This is a particularly extreme situation and dynamic, but I think that it played into why my character was so sensitive, neurotic, on edge. She was raised in an unstable household.
Okay. Now, are you a big horror buff yourself?
I appreciate the genre, but I'm not a big buff. I'm the girl that has to watch a horror movie through my fingers because I get too scared too easily. So.
Okay. So tell me, how do you go about choosing your roles?
It's how do I go about choosing my roles? I read the material and I see if there's something I respond to. If there's a kernel of a character there that I feel like I haven't explored yet, something that scares me. If there's someone involved that I've wanted to work with, a director or an actor or a writer, really depends project to project. but I'm looking for a new challenge. I'm looking to learn something new, to be stretched in a new way. And I guess with this character, I was interested, like I said, I was interested in exploring this particular dynamic of her being the child of a Holocaust survivor who's gone through real tragedies, and also just unto herself, a woman who's really sort of a woman on the verge of a nervous breakdown.
Right.
She's very high strung and sensitive and fragile, and I thought that was an interesting state to explore.
Okay. What were some challenges you faced on set?
When you're doing a movie for no money, there's always challenges. I mean, this is a super, super independent movie, and I think that they did a really beautiful job of lighting and editing it so that it doesn't look like that. But, we made it for no money. So, so that's always a challenge, tight quarters, lots of crew, nowhere to hide. But, you go into something like this and you're not going into it to be in the lap of luxury. You're there to support the director's vision and to be a part of something. So, I mean, it was challenging sometimes, but it wasn't terrible or anything.
That's good. Now, switching gears a bit, you're in two of my favorite movies. You're in Super Mario Brothers and Broken Arrow. What was it like working on those films?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think the stories abound pretty fruitfully about Super Mario, and that it was a challenging experience. It was a shooting experience fraught with difficulty, but it was also a phenomenal cast. And I got to meet some really incredible people, some people that I've been friends with for life, or I'm always happy to see. And, it was a very unique experience. And I was in the company of amazing talent. So while the movie perhaps is not my favorite, for myself,
okay.
I love having had that experience with that cast, and it always tickles me to know that, it holds a nostalgic place in people's hearts.
Of course.
I think, it's part of people's childhood. And Broken Arrow, I mean, that was an amazing experience for me. To work with John Woo, who's the master of that genre, and be in his presence alone was, enough for me. But then I was the sole woman amongst all these men, basically in a 4-month outward bound experience where we were, running on top of speeding trains, running from helicopters, driving Humvees. I mean, it was an incredible experience and opportunity to do things, the women don't get asked to do a lot, or at least they didn't at that point, a ton. And to do it with Christian, who I'd worked with before, so I was, with my buddy, and then to work with John Travolta, who, I'd been a fan since I was a kid. It was definitely one of those where you're pinching yourself going, I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this. This is so much fun.
Yeah, it's a great film. Really underrated, I'd say. Yeah, it's really quality action right there. So are there any actors or directors that you haven't worked with that you'd want to in the future?
Of course. I mean, the list is long of people that have existed for a while, and of course now the list expands as every year we see new and interesting creators and artists out there, but I couldn't even begin to start to give you a list.
Gotcha. Okay. So you've done film, you've done TV. Do you prefer one over the other, or are they kind of equal to you?
They're different. They're different for different reasons. I like doing a little bit of everything. Television, you have the opportunity to explore a character potentially over many seasons, and that can be incredibly gratifying. To really get to explore the nuances of a character. Film is a finite period of time. I mean, in terms of your relationship to the camera, it's similar, although you you can be a little bit bigger in television than film, because film, you know, you're potentially on such a huge screen. But now, you know, even films, who knows if they're going to end up on film or if they're just going to end up on Netflix. Not yet, but, you know, they'll be on a streaming platform instead of a theater. So, but I certainly like very much the difference between working on camera versus working on stage. Those are two really different beasts. And, you know, there's a subtlety that you get to explore with the camera that you don't do with film or stage.
Okay. Last question. Do you have any advice for aspiring actors out there?
You know, whenever I talk to a young actor, I just encourage them to go to university, go to grad school, learn the craft, also learn writing, directing, editing, every aspect of the business, because it's such a different world than when I was coming up, and you have such incredible opportunity to put your own content out there and to be more of the master of your future. And you just see people getting discovered off of YouTube and suddenly selling TV series ideas to HBO. So I just think that it's a very competitive landscape, and it's sort of the Wild West. It's also wonderful that there's so much opportunity. So you really have to be a self-starter in a way that just wasn't the case when I started. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay, very cool. Well, Samantha, I want to thank you so much for your time today. This has been amazing. And
sure thing.
If you're ever in Long Island, New York, we'd love to have you come by the studio, maybe for an in-person interview. It'd be great.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been Under the Radar. I'm your host, Randy Unger, and I want to thank everyone for listening. And, of course, Samantha Mathis, the movie Boarding School. It's great. Go see it. And, thanks for listening, guys. Take care.